Fans are already coming up with pretty crazy ideas for how Brock Lesnar could be used now that he's back. Let's look at this idea and see who else it might touch. Brock Lesnar's return itself took place at Summerslam 2025. John Cena was already having a pretty rough night after losing his title to Cody Rhodes, but everyone knows that's where things got worse. For John Cena, Brock Lesnar did make his long-awaited return, but it was short and sweet. It was his first showing in over 2 years. That was it. He hit John Cena with an F5 and that was it. But after that, a lot of experts were asking if Brock Lesnar was working with someone or for someone, because Brock attacking John Cena out of the blue might seem like a strange move. But if Brock was sent by someone with the personal job of taking out John Cena, then maybe that does make things a bit more clear. We've already talked about the idea that The Rock is behind Brock's recent moves and send him to attack John Cena. But for this specific theory, we'll be looking at a certain group of individuals over on Raw that could be related with Brock Lesnar. Of course, that's Seth Rollins and The Vision. Recently on Raw, Seth Rollins has been teasing the idea that something big is about to happen for the group here in the near future. Seth is being very vague about it, so he could be referring to pretty much anything, but he's constantly throwing hints to what's to come in the future, and he seems very excited about whatever it may be. One thing you can say about The Vision is that they are very good at keeping secrets and making big plans. Just look at Seth's cash-in and everything they went through to make that plan possible. Seth and Heyman came up with this complex plan to fake an injury, which was building up towards a SummerSlam cash-in, and cash-ins are already pretty shocking and unexpected to the person getting cashed in on. But when the person with the contract claims to be hurt, then reveals it was a fake injury, well, that makes their cash-in a million times more shocking, and that's exactly what Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman did. So considering their previous work there with the SummerSlam cash, these two are absolutely devious, and sky's the limit for all. They're evil plans that they can be working on behind the scenes, and it surely looks like another evil plan is definitely in development, judging by Seth's constant teasers and hints. So what could that new top-secret plan turn out to be? Well, how about Paul Heyman bringing in Brock Lesnar to The Vision in order for this to be done? Obviously, there has to be a lot repairing done to Brock and Heyman's friendship with each other. Last time Brock and Heyman were involved with each other on television, things did get a bit intense, given that Heyman did betray Brock in order to align himself back with Roman Reigns, and that entire relationship collapsed and things got pretty ugly there between Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman's on-screen figures. So if they're going to be reunited again on television, they'll have to patch all of those things up from the past. Despite how bad things got a few years ago between Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, these two men have been close friends for decades upon decades. So surely they can squash their beef with each other and join again for old time's sake, if Paul Heyman is able to do it. If he's able to repair his relationship with Brock Lesnar, this is a huge win for The Vision, and it makes sense why Seth Rollins would be so happy about that plan. He would be getting arguably the most brutal enforcer that's out there now. Seth would be protected by Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, the mind of Paul Heyman, and now Brock Lesnar. Seth loves the sound of that because it makes him pretty much untouchable. There's no way anyone is getting close to his world heavyweight title if they have to go through those three guys first. And maybe Brock Lesnar won't be a full-time member of The Vision since obviously he won't be on television every week. But maybe Brock just becomes a trusted friend of the group. Kind of like what Brock Lesnar was back during the early days of the Authority group. Brock officially wasn't a member, but he did often collaborate with the Authority and did several things for them. So maybe that's the same type of idea here with this link between Brock Lesnar and The Vision. He won't be an actual member. But with Heyman and Brock fixing their issues, all Heyman has to do is pick up the phone, make the call, and Brock will be there to do whatever favors Paul Heyman asks for. Now, if Brock Lesnar does link up with Seth Rollins and The Vision, who would be affected by the partnership the most? Well, the answer appears to be all of the big baby faces on Raw, such as LA Knight, CM Punk, and anyone else that's even thinking about coming after Seth Rollins. And the biggest person out of them all that this is going to affect is most likely Roman Reigns. Roman appears to be on this long journey to get his hands on Seth Rollins, and it hasn't been an easy job at all since he's had to go through Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, so that could be the twist here too. Roman finally gets by Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. He thinks he's finally going to get his hands on Seth Rollins without anyone else getting in the way. And that's when Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman can reveal their surprise. That's when Brock Lesnar makes his entrance to stop Roman Reigns from getting his hands on Seth Rollins. And Paul Heyman pulling something like this off makes Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman seem like total masterminds every time you think they're backed into a corner or there's a big issue on the horizon that they can't handle. Seth and Heyman always pull a big trick out of their sleeves, and that'll be the case right there with that situation. Roman thinks he finally got rid of all the hurdles, but then that Brock Lesnar reveal is made, which basically resets all of Roman's progress of knocking down all the Vision members. The thought of Brock Lesnar getting in the way of Seth versus Roman is also interesting because Brock and Roman have a very massive rivalry with each other as well. Roman and Brock have faced each other a countless amount of times over the last decade, so seeing that fight again, along with the fresh elements and other things around it of Seth and Heyman pulling the strings on everything, it could make for a great new twist of a classic rivalry. There's some fans that are also asking if all this could spill into this year's Survivor Series event. There will be a WarGames match at that event, and the WarGames match generally has a very deep and detailed storyline behind it. So fans are asking if the 2025 men's WarGames match could turn out to be Team Roman versus Team Seth. It'll be an interesting way to keep their feud progressing without giving away the big singles match that early and still saving it for possibly WrestleMania 42, and if they do go down the WarGames route for Seth and Roman. That's another great way for Brock's connection to come into play if Seth and Heyman bring Brock into the fold. Brock can be on Seth's team for work, and that'll give Seth a pretty good team for that match. Meanwhile, Roman could bring some of the top babyfaces together for his team. Maybe he picks up CM Punk and LA Knight. That's two loaded up teams right there that cancel each other out perfectly. That's a WarGames matchup that is equal to an all-star game. You have several big names there, some top stars, some established stars, and even some upcoming stars as well, that are all part in that one matchup. Lots of promise there for some big moments that could lead to even bigger things. Remember that it was at last year's WarGames match where they took note of all the buzz Roman and Punk were getting with each other, and that's made them put Roman and Punk in that WrestleMania 41 program together. So maybe history repeats itself here, and we get another big moment that could lead towards them making some big changes to the plans. Lots of possibilities. Maybe Brock goes rogue again. Maybe Brock eventually leaves Seth's side, and that leads to another Seth versus Brock match some fans really want to see. Bron Breakker versus Brock Lesnar. And if they get Brock involved with the Vision somehow, then technically there is a very realistic chance that we could see that big dream matchup of Lesnar versus Breakker after all. So fans are going to be keeping a close eye on Brock's usage and what will be done with him after the program with John Cena is completed.